Welcome to another edition of the AboutBeverages.com podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Andrew, and today we've got something a little bit different. Actually, over the next 3 weeks, we'll have something a little bit different. About 2 weeks back, Keith and I went live on location, LOL, as he likes to say, and went to Tap and Bottle. Scott and Rebecca, the owners, were kind enough to have us into their establishment to sit down and have a conversation about local breweries, new beers that have found their way to the Tucson Market, and the ups and downs of owning a bottle shop. Also, while we were there, they shared some different beers that they had on tap at the time. The beer being featured during part 1 was not on tap, but only available in a bottle. It's from Iron John's Brewing, who recently opened their doors in Tucson. Enjoy and stay tuned over the coming weeks for parts 2 and 3.
Well, we're on location, so it's a little trickier this time around.
We are, but it's not too bad, though. This place is like perfectly convenient for how we would want to set up.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I came down here last week, scouting out that you couldn't make because you were sick, so I'm glad you're feeling better.
I'm still working over the ends of either it's allergies or a cold. I'm not quite sure what, but it seems like it was hitting everybody at my work. So,
but that's not what we're here to talk about.
No,
today.
Let's not talk about allergies and cold medication, unless they want to sponsor us. No, we're here to talk about Tap and Bottle.
That's right. That's where we're at
beer.
For this AboutBeverages.com. But yeah, live on location at Tap and Bottle. We're sitting here with Scott and Rebecca Safford today. They've graciously offered to host our first ever podcast that's not from the tasting room, which is also Andrew's house.
Very cool.
So welcome to both of you, and thank you for having us at your business.
Well, thanks for coming down.
Well, you mentioned that there would be beer. And that we'll be talking about those things, so usually we don't have a problem going to wherever that would be.
we have beer.
We do have beer, a lot of beer.
Good.
And Rebecca likes to talk.
Thanks, Scott.
So yeah, and the beer will actually help loosen up the conversation a little bit.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I'm sure by part 2 or part 3 of this conversation, it'll be crazy, insane stories, and that's what we'll find out, the real inner workings of how your business came together, things you wouldn't normally tell anyone else.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Or not.
We have ways of making you talk. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. You know, we talked about different ways of doing this, about asking you guys, but I think it's just going to happen naturally as we begin to pour beer. So Rebecca has had some ideas, and we're going to start with the first idea, which is we're going to start local, actually local.
Very local, and even recently local, because the brewery we're going to talk about is someone that Keith and I are a little familiar with, but someone that just opened recently.
Yeah, so we're going to start off with Iron John's. So he opened in Tucson a few weeks ago, but has been in the brewing world for a long time, and we were all super excited to finally try his beers and to be able to purchase them. So we sell a lot of his bottles here. We've been selling out, which is amazing, and the one we're going to open up today is called the San Patricio, which was in honor of recent St. Patrick's Day holiday. I'm going to open it up.
Let's do that. And what style is this?
So it's a dry Irish stout.
Okay.
And he's... I caught it. See, now that's the only reason I wish we'd had video on this.
That would have been great for video.
Awesome.
Woo! Okay.
Mr. Miyagi.
I know. You sound like
Carbonation is not an issue.
carbonation is not.
Protect the mixing board at all costs.
Now, John's kind of one of those brewers, at least for me, like I kept hearing about for the last couple of years, where it was like, oh, this guy is amazing. He's only doing homebrew right now, but maybe he'll open a place, and if he does, we'll all be so lucky. He's so good. So you kind of kept hearing about it. Keith and I have been to a couple parties at thank you very much, at a friend of ours, Bruce Joseph's house.
You guys know Bruce.
We know Bruce.
Yeah.
And we went over there, and he was like, oh, John should be by today. He's going to bring... And he would never show up. And we assumed because he was crafting something amazing. And finally, we've got to start trying it.
What I'm so impressed with is every style he does, he just nails it. It's like, I feel like some breweries are like, oh, we do IPAs really well, or we're all about Belgian beers. Everything we've tried of his is just exceptional. So like this one, for example, dry Irish stout, it has also oak spirals that have been aged in Irish, or have been soaked in Irish whiskey. So very flavorful, but a low ABV. It's not something that's like going to knock us out right away. I think, what was it, 5.5?
Yeah, that's what I was noticing.
It seems like most of his stuff right now is kind of on, other than I think the barley wine's 8 or 9, and the Imperial Stout is like 7.
The Black
but like his other ones
more,
are all 5 or less, which is kind of nice, because it's like if you actually find something you want to drink,
Yeah, you can.
Kind of nice being able to have a few of them.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you
Cheers.
very much for having us
you
here.
guys. There we go. I like the windows up here. At least during the day, you can.
Yeah.
If you're into checking out the color, you can.
And the other thing that you can't see, if you're listening to this, is that everything is beautifully bottled. He hand bottles everything here. He only sells them out of the bottle in his own shop, and it's just great to see the craftsmen not only making amazing beer, but also caring about how the product looks. And you can bring the bottles back, and you get a.
That's what I was just going to mention. Yeah, that's actually really nice too. Is the recycling.
So we save them all here. If people drink them in house, so when he delivers, we give them back to him.
Oh, that's nice.
So you can reuse them. So.
And we could mention that is one of the things that you guys offer here is not only the draft beers and wine, but you have an amazing bottle selection here, and you guys have a cappage fee that you charge, which you can come in and you're not not that 22 taps isn't amazing, but you go well beyond those 22. You guys have a huge selection, and they're all available to open and drink right here.
Well, what's been fun, I mean, going back to this beer, too, that we're drinking right now, is we had it on tap for St. Patrick's Day. It was the first keg to blow on St. Patrick's Day. So that shows you how excited people are. That it wasn't the Murphys or the Kilkenny, the traditional St. Patty's Day beers, but it was a local person's take on the San Patricio. And so then after we blew the keg, then we were able to pop open the bottles if someone else wanted to try it out.
So is he doing kegs then as well?
He is, but limited.
Limited.
So we've had them here. We had them at his release party, and then we also have had a few others, and then 1702 as well is going to be having his kegs.
Okay. And Andrew, you actually went, and you visited.
I did,
that place
actually,
too.
the day he first opened his bottle shop. Well, because I'd seen the pictures on your Facebook of you standing up on top of the bar with John and toasting the brewery and stuff. So I actually went down to his bottle shop and met with him a little bit and stuff. It's just really nice. It's neat. You can walk in there, and even though it's a small place, you can see his brewery facility. You can. I think he even says he's going to start doing where you can kind of watch him brew a little bit. Like I was seeing, he's kind of. It's really neat.
You sort of feel like he has the garage door that can come up or the doors that can open up, and it feels like a cross between someone who has a really great home brew setup and a bigger brewery. So it has a great feel to it.
Now, when you guys are selecting things for the bottle shop, or do you? I mean, I'm going to assume, are you tasting everything, or are you going on some word of mouth, or what do you guys? Is there a selection process?
I would say we know. Definitely did not taste everything. There's
it would be nice.
550 bottles. Our tasting budget would be quite large at that point. You just get to know certain breweries and you trust what they do.
Right.
We use Beer Advocate and rate beer a lot.
Okay.
And see what the scores are and see what the reviews are.
And our staff, too. So we have a staff of about 12 people, and, a lot of them travel, and everybody's very passionate about beer. And so it's like, oh, I went to this brewery, and we have to try to get this here. And so actually we have a story around that from a pretty recent beer that we just got in. Logsden, which is out of Oregon. One of our coworkers went to visit and just fell in love with their beers and emailed them afterward and said, I work at a bottle shop in Tucson and we'd love to carry your beer. And, took a little work and now it's here.
That's
and
awesome.
We have a keg.
That's really cool.
And we have the bottles available, and it turns out it was already distributed in Phoenix, so it just meant getting it down to Tucson, and it's wonderful.
That is.
Yeah.
I love hearing the passionate beverage stories.
Do you take input at all from if you had a groundswell of people that walked in and said, "Oh boy, I wish you guys had this thing"? Do you guys listen to customers as well in that regard, or?
Yeah, I'd say 75% of the people want Pliny the Elder.
Gee, I don't know if I have it on tape, but I think I may have asked that earlier.
Yeah. So that's an easy answer. Or Alpine Brewing, and then a lot of people just aren't familiar with the laws. They assume we can just order it or call them or
you
go
can just
pick
get
it
that,
up.
Right?
Yeah.
You can just right now. You can just pick up the phone and.
Yeah.
Okay.
But state law requires we buy from an in-state distributor.
Okay.
For us to resell it. So personally, we could go out to California, pick it up, bring it back, but we couldn't have it here legally.
Can't sell it. I think a good strategy for Tucson and bottle shops in Tucson or any kind of craft beer focus bar is let's even look at what Phoenix is getting that we haven't been able to get yet and have more of a demand down here. So
That's smart.
Yeah.
So a lot of the beers that we're seeing now,
Like-
Phoenix has a lot of buying power, but now Tucson is like, hey, we have a lot of places that want them too, like AleSmith Brewing,
Yeah, we have AleSmith Nut Brown on tap right now, and I think it went on at a couple other places near us, and it's the first time AleSmith has been on draft in Tucson. We've had the
wow.
bottles for years.
Right.
But
Yeah,
the
you
draft,
guys get like the Speedway Stout or their IPA or something like that.
so we have the Nut Brown on, and I think the IPA's on over at 1702, possibly, or will be. I know he got one, so...
That's
Yeah.
So that was some work too. Strong Beer Fest, when we went up for Arizona Beer Week, we ran into some people. Actually, some of those discussions over many beers turned out to be fruitful, because we got Hess in as well from that visit, and Logston and AleSmith. So
I mean, it seems simple, but obviously it wasn't. But that's a great idea to. Well, if it's coming as far as Phoenix,
Yeah. Then
we
should
can
be
get it
able
down
to
here.
get it
Yeah.
And that, that there is a demand for it, that I can say, hey, I have so many customers that are asking me for your beer, and if I can go and say that, and it's not just our account that wants you, there's all these other places that are opening up. It just really is putting Tucson on the map. And we keep hearing that, like, from our distributors who we buy beer from, is that the Tucson market, obviously Phoenix is huge, but the Tucson market is growing at a faster rate. The craft beer market is growing at a faster rate than anywhere else in the state. So we have a lot of people drinking really awesome beer here and wanting more.
And that's where that whole community. It's not like it's you guys and you're out on an island. I mean, everybody comes to. I think it's a neat thing that, and I don't brew beer that Andrew does, but just in talking with different people, that everybody helps each other, and you can do more acting together than as opposed to if you're trying to do it by yourself. You use that, and I love that.
Well, and like going back to what's happening local and sort of that family feeling is that, for example, 1055 Brewing and Dragoon just did a recent collaboration where they each came up with the beer that they wanted to brew. So it was the same style of French Saison, using Maya Tea Company here in town, and also Meyer lemons that were harvested here. And then they each brewed it at their own brewery, and then they did their kickoff party here at Tap and Bottle. So it was like 2 breweries, 1 local business, everyone celebrating beer together, and also Maya Tea Company as well, since they were involved. So it just so many fun.
And we also did a collaboration during Arizona Beer Week with 1702, the Address Brewing. We did a black IPA, and we both each had a keg on tap. So from the outside, 1702 might appear as a competitor to us, but we work together.
There's a lot of that within the beer community.
Often.
That craft community spirit is really just about everyone coming together. And like you said, it's not about that we're in competition. We want to bring great beer, and it's wherever someone is that's within their distance. They're either going to come to Tap and Bottle, they're going to go 17. They're going to go to wherever is convenient. And
Riley's Beer Garden, World of Beer,
different things.
Agreed.
Let's talk a little bit about the beer at hand.
There's so much to talk about.
Well, there is so much to talk about, like I said, but this is honestly this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's a little bit dry, but it's not like super. It's not like making me die that I need a thing of water. Sometimes you get a dry stout and it's almost like either so sweet or so whatever that just makes you just.
Yeah, there's a little bit of the sweetness on the lips, but it's not like sometimes my lips stick together.
It's not,
but not it's
not
not
overly whiskey and alcohol-y and hot.
No.
It's not overly oaked. It's just super balanced.
But you get that whiskey right on the finish, though.
Yeah,
you get the little smoky, the little chocolate, and then there's just that little high note that's kind of in there. That's just really nice.
And you can't see this, but I have it paired perfectly with my coffee. It goes so well together.
That's just from the color, which is a really nice, deep brown, to the nose, which is amazing.
Is it a rich mahogany?
It doesn't have the red of the mahogany.
Corinthian leather.
Exactly. We've had the mahogany discussion before. It goes back several years, actually. But that was that turned into a whole Diana Ross thing. But anyways,
you're not going to sing the theme from Mahogany while we're out at public place?
No, not anymore. Yeah, we used to break in. Oh, you still break into songs sometimes.
Yeah,
feel free.
We will feel free.
I might get discovered at Tap and Bottle. So.
Sessions at Tap and Bottle on VH1.
Still can't believe this popped off like that.
Yeah, it almost hit me. So now I'm ready. Like, if that had been like the third or fourth thing we tried, no guarantees. I might have been on the floor. That's just really good. And it goes back to the point you mentioned about like just whatever he starts doing, he's really hitting that style. But I think he's still putting just his own take on it. Because the one I've had, I was talking with Scott earlier, was the steam beer that he does, the steam style beer, which that usually is not something I'd be anywhere near a fan of. But I had it, and because he puts the rye in there and some other things, it got much more creative for my palate. And I really liked it. It was really good.
He's really creative in what his adjuncts are, and his recipes just seem very dialed in and focused. So, and he's awesome. He's been a supporter of us since we opened. And his family comes here and drinks and hangs out together. And
he's done a few Beer 101 classes that we've opened up to the public. So
I saw that on your, I was on your website or your newsletter that one time, I think, right? It was Brewing with Iron John or something like that.
So he does a guided tasting and walks people through different styles of beer. And each time it's been totally different, which is great. Even though it's the same slides and the same material with like discussions and the beers that we're trying, it just morphs into really great discussions. So
that's great.
It's awesome. Well, how about I pour us another beer? Does that sound good?
We rarely, if ever, say no to that.
Yeah, we'll never say no to that.
So good. I'm going to bring us another new thing that we've been really excited about is, not only what's happening locally in Tucson, but the different breweries from outside of our state that are now finding Arizona and coming to Arizona. So I'm going to pour us a few samples of some new to Arizona breweries.
Oh, very cool.
Okay.
Well, that's the end of part one of our interview with Scott and Rebecca of Tap and Bottle. If you're interested in finding out more about not only their store, but upcoming events that will be held at Tap and Bottle, you can visit their website at tapandbottle.com, or you can also be following them on Twitter and Facebook. For any of those links, if you are in your car driving around and don't have time to jot them down, you can also always head over to our website at AboutBeverages.com and find them in the link lounge. Stay tuned for part two coming next week. Cheers.